We're finally back at the backyard golf course build. The house is built. All of the jobs are done. We can finally now focus on this backyard that we're so lucky to have. It's a pretty huge piece of property here. It was an old gravel pit, and we're gonna try and turn it into a backyard golf course. I put a few videos up in the past, and this was always a project that I really wanted to get at, but with so much stuff going on with the house and the family, it just didn't have enough time. But all that's been finally cleared, and I want to get this 2-hole golf course going here. We have a nice big chunk of property here, and it's sandy and gravelly, and I'm sick of looking at these weeds growing up every year. It's time to green this up with turf grass. I walked through the property on a previous video. We did the tee box locations, showed the greens, so I'm gonna do a few different tee boxes. Here's a green here. It's kind of close to the house. The house comes into play over here, so a little nervous about that, but we really have to have it up here. The land drops down here to the pond. I have to keep this low area open to the pond so that groundwater, mainly in the spring, we get snow up here. When that melts, it's got to get to the pond, so I can't close that off. So we've got a green here. We've got the beautiful pond here. Been working hard keeping that clean in another set of videos. And then we're kind of wide open here. This is about 120 yards between these two greens, and we've got a lot of real estate in width here. What I've been doing for the last while is going through these piles of fill, this dirt. I'm trying to separate it a very slow way. All I have is the bobcat and the rock bucket. So I go into these piles, shake them up, and I get a lot of rock out, and then the good soil goes over here, and I have that now to work with and shape this course with. So I know it's strange to say you're building a backyard golf course and you're on a bit of a shoestring budget, but I want to do this fairly cheap. So I'm taking the time, I'm trying to use the dirt that I have here, maximizing the use of it. This is the 5-foot wide rock bucket that I've been using to sift all that material. So I'll take a big scoop of the rough material, bring it up in the air, shake it over a pile, all the finer material falls through, and I'm left with a bunch of rocks in the bucket, and then those go into the pile. So it's been a long, slow, boring process. That's why I haven't shot a lot of film on it, but I'm getting close here to the end of these piles. This is my last load of fill. I actually had 14 of these piles. A friend of mine was putting an addition on his house, so they dug out a basement, and I saw the first load. They were trying to get rid of it, so I said, yeah, I'll take it for sure. It's free. So they brought it over here. It looked quite good. And then at the end of the day when I came back, it definitely got rockier and rockier as they dug down. This was from like a hardwood forested area, so it's definitely got something in this soil. This is dried out now, but when you see the moisture, it's going to hold some moisture, and it's got a little bit of color there, so I kind of like the soil, but it's been a lot of work separating the rock. So the 14 loads look like this, and I sorted a lot of rock out of it. Some of it's here, and the rest of it is here. There was so much rock in that material, it definitely probably wasn't worth it, but it was free, and I'd say I got 60% of good dirt out of it. So this area is right behind the green, and this property was so flat, I kind of wanted to add some contour to it, some mounding, and my plan was to also give me a spot to hide the rock. There's actually 10 feet of rock under my feet here. There was a huge hole here that I dug with the excavator, and I got some really nice sand out of it, so I used it for the pond beach. We got ourselves a nice beach at the pond for free. And it also left me a huge crater that I could dump a ton of rock in. This plan could definitely backfire, but my goal here is to soften this off a little bit with the excavator and then bring in some of that dirt that I've cleaned up and try and pack it in between the rocks here. And then I bought 3 loads of a clay soil, and I'm hoping that I can cap this rock area and it can hold the moisture, and we can grow some grass on here, and this would be a nice mound, a little bit of a hazard behind the green. Those 14 loads of the reddish granite soil, once clean, this is what I'm left with here, and I've got quite a bit of it. It's nice enough stuff. I think it's going to hold moisture when we do cap these rock piles. This is a pretty big area here that would have cost a bit of money to bring some in, so we gained a little bit on that, and I did use quite a lot of material up at the other green, softening off that hill, giving me more room at the green. So I gained a little bit of money there. It took me a lot of time, didn't cost anything out of the pocket, but there was definitely a lot of time in the machine bouncing and shaking around. I'm a bit nervous with those big rock piles that I'm trying to cover with soil and grow grass on, that I'm going to lose a lot of moisture down into the open voids and all that rock. So I did actually purchase 3 loads of this heavy clay soil. So I'm hoping that's going to work as a cap to really wrap those rocks, pack them tight, and hopefully I can hold moisture there when I'm irrigating. So there's a lot of clay in that soil. It is hard when it dries, and I just didn't have anything like that here. So I wanted to bring that in, give me the best chance to not have my turf grass dry out on those mounds. This was scraped up out of a farm field, like almost near a barn. So there's a lot of the pasture grass growing through it. We'll see if I fight with that. Also a pair of underwear. Somebody lost a pair of briefs there, so they're probably looking for that. That's kind of gross, but that showed up in the pile. So this was just some really old dirt sitting around that I got my hands on. Over here, I've been stockpiling this material for probably 2 years. There's trees growing out of it, so it's been here a while. This is not nearly as rocky, and it's much more of a silty, finer sand. So I'm gonna like working with this and using this to shape the course. And once I sift that stuff from the property here, it's a really nice material, very similar to what we use for the beach. So it's like a clay sand. You can see that it does hold its shape, hold some moisture. I think this is going to be really nice stuff to get on those rocks as well and use as a subsurface under our topsoil. I'm not going to bore you with too much video of me sifting through these rock piles because it is slow and boring. I just wanted to get the camera out, show you the property. We're super fortunate, super blessed to have this chunk of property, kind of a open canvas to do whatever I want with it. And I'm a little bit pumped myself because I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 piles left of this rough material to sort through. I had at least 30 to 35 to start with, so it's been a long time coming. I'm sick of it myself, so I'm gonna rip through all these piles, clean them up, and then we'll start taking the good material and starting to shape this course for the final rough-in shape as we get ready to build this backyard golf course. Last bucket of that red granite, I got through it. I never want to see another piece of red granite. Oh, that is warm. I should have definitely started this project at the beginning of spring, but this is really the first chance I've had to go at it. Let the record show, it is July 5th today. It will be very interesting to see where we're at come October. At the very least, there better be 2 greens with irrigation, with grass growing, and I think we can even get the fairway and the rough going here too. Now with all the rocks separated, it's time to sweep up our winnings. So that is how I've been acquiring this fairly clean fill. It's really a slow, painful process. That was 1 pile. I've done 30, and I only have 4 left over there, so I'm super excited to end this. I'm not gonna bore you with those piles. I'll rip through those this weekend, clean them up, and then the fun part is going to be using this fill to add some shape, some height, some mounding around these greens. That's going to be next. Before we wrap this one up, I want to take a quick look at the front yard, and that is the lawn that is 100% Kentucky bluegrass. I had it in the earlier videos, and it's now coming into 2 years old, and that bluegrass is really kicking into high gear. It looks great. Bluegrass is loving the heat, it's loving the irrigation, and it's really kicking it into high gear now. So that backyard project is a giant one. It's intimidating. It's exhausting when I think about what I have to do. But when you come onto the front yard and see after 2 years what this stuff looks like, there's some motivation there. You can definitely get some energy out of it. I just love this bluegrass. It's finally tightened up. The rhizomes are spreading out. I'm cutting it at 3/4 of an inch, so a little bit longer than a fairway, but it just looks great with the color and the striping and the sunlight. And I gotta say, there is nothing better than walking around on the lawn in bare feet. It feels so good. It's summertime.